Welcome back, viewers. Now we will continue with our discussion, inshallah, on the same topic of prophethood, but this time we have some different type of questions, and I will ask our guest Maulana Abbas Mirza Sahab to answer the questions and explain it to you, or the what it has to be like about prophecy and miracles. So what are the so Maulana Sahab will discuss some good points on these questions. So let's go back to Maulana Sahab and then request Maulana Sahab to answer these questions. So Maulana Sahab will come back, and then inshallah we will discuss the points that we were doing before the break. So we were doing the questions on prophecy most of the time, but this time I think I should ask you something a bit different, like what are the ways of proving prophecy?
Right.
How do we prove?
Yes, as we were talking about, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our show.
Thank you.
Welcome to all our viewers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, like we discussed previously about prophethood and prophecy, the infallibility, it is quite necessary that they should be infallible, and the reasons behind it, the intellectual reasons, the Quranic reasons. And we also talked about sins, that some of the expressions of the prophets of committing zulm, committing oppression and sins, or some of the du'as that points out in that direction, or why they are. Now, as we move further, the question is quite valid to really see how one can prove prophecy.
Yeah.
The way to prove prophethood or prophecy, the way to prove prophecy, meaning that a person is a prophet, he has to provide a miracle. A miracle must be provided. That's one. Number two, either he should provide a miracle, or he should be of a reliable, he should be a reliable person, a trustworthy person, where everybody trusts him. Whatever he is saying is right. Everybody believe in him. If he says that he is a prophet, they will believe in him. Just like how prophet would say that if I tell you that there is a army behind
the mountain,
will you believe me? Everybody say yes, we will believe you, right? So that trust has to be there, and then when that trust is there, then he declares that he's a prophet, and many will believe in him. Number three, no, he should be either appointed by another prophet. Prophet Moses appointed Prophet Harun or Prophet Yusha ibn Nun, for example, right? Before leaving for Kuhetur, he appointed Prophet
Harun. Yeah.
Before dying, he appointed Prophet Yusha, as his next deputy. Prophet Dawood, Prophet Suleiman. So either the prophet should appoint, or if not even appoint, maybe they should have mentioned in the book, after me there will be a prophet who will come. In his scriptures been mentioned there, so the next prophet will come after me, and they say that, oh, this is the prophet, oh yeah, that's his name, this is the sign, and they will believe in it. So the way to prove prophecy are by three methods. One, a miracle that the prophet must perform and say that this is a sign of God, this is a miracle from God, and you believe in me. Prophet Saleh, Prophet, Nuh, and all of the other prophets who perform. Or he should be trustworthy. Everybody trusts him. He's a good person. He's trustworthy. He's loyal. He's good. Number three is where the prophet must have mentioned about him or have appointed him as a prophet. So these are the three ways of proving a prophecy.
Oh, so these are are these three ways of proving prophecy? So does it have to be mentioned in the Quran, or just we see the evidences that this has been proved, and then we accept they are accepted as prophets? As you said, they're appointed by the previous prophets, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily has to be in the Quran. If it is appointed by if one prophet is appointed by the previous one, so it doesn't have to be mentioned in the Quran.
No, I mean there's no question of the Quran here. Obviously, for example, if you are looking at the phenomena of acceptance of the prophecy, you know, how I will believe that this person is a prophet. You know, this person is giving me the Quran. First of all, I need to believe in him. The book that he's giving is the Quran, is from God. So first I have to believe in him, then I will believe in the Quran.
In the Quran, okay.
Right? So now how will I believe in him? I will believe in him, either he should show me a miracle, either previous prophet have appointed him. It is mentioned in the old scriptures.
And they will tally all the signs.
Right. And number three, I trust
all the
him,
signs
he's a good
match this
right.
person. Then they will accept him
right.
as a prophet.
Right.
Okay, this is the way. Okay, thank you very much, Maulana. Okay, now I have one question about miracles that all the prophets, you know, all the prophets that have, you know, we have in Islam. So they had one or the other. Some had many miracles, some had just one or two miracles. So what is a miracle actually? Can you please define what a miracle is to our viewers?
It's known as an extraordinary event. You know, miracle is considered as an extraordinary event performed or which do not emerge from ordinary or common cause. It is
something unusual.
Something that is unusual, an act. Miracle is something that is unusual, an act which emerge from, you know, not from common causes. It is very different. Or some of these extraordinary acts are performed by the Prophet and are rooted in God's will. You know, some of these acts are rooted. So God decides to turn the fire into garden for Ibrahim. It is a will of God.
Yeah.
The third thing will be an extraordinary act. Could be an evidence for, you know, the claim to prove the claim of the Prophet that he is the Prophet. You know, that is also termed as a miracle.
Miracle. Okay.
You know, so first of all, it's an extraordinary act, either performed by the Prophet or it is the will of God that have taken place.
In the case of Prophet Saleh, like the camel, baby camel that came out.
Yeah, it is the.
So it was done by God, not by.
It was done by the God, but in order to prove the prophecy of Saleh.
Saleh, yeah.
So it is a miracle.
Yeah.
You know, it is the will of God, no doubt. But it is something that is to establish the prophecy of Prophet. Tossing of Ibrahim, Hazrat Ibrahim, into the fire, and the fire changing into garden. That is not a miracle to prove, or a miracle to prove that Ibrahim is the Prophet. No. Here they asked, if you are the Prophet or Saleh, you know, ask a she camel to come out of the mountain.
Okay.
So here is Prophet Saleh performing a miracle, an extraordinary act. It is Prophet who is performing an extraordinary act that is becoming a miracle. Here is by the divine will. You know, by the God's will, the fire is turning into garden. I mean, it's a miracle. It is considered as a miracle, but it is the will of God that is happening.
So, and also in the case of Hazrat Isa, when he asked for the dish of food, when they said, "Okay, we want to, you know, show us your miracle and tell Allah to send food for us
from the heaven."
And,
yes.
And then the fried fish was there, and so many other food that came, and then, you know, they refused to eat.
Yes.
And the tray of food, it came coming like for 3 days, and then, you know, people, so many hundreds and hundreds of people, they came and eat, and all those who were sick, you know, they became healthy, and the poor became rich. And so this miracle was like from Hazrat Isa's
alayhi salam, yes.
Now, so this was also from Allah's will.
Yes, all are obviously from divine will. Okay, now. That's a good way to open up another discussion on miracle, and that is, it is an extraordinary act, but it is a divine extraordinary act. There are extraordinary acts that are performed by, you know, by magicians, for example, by yogis.
Yes.
You know, they tend to practice certain things. You know, they will put a knife from this side to the other side, or they will put the knife inside their mouth, or they will have fire burning on their head. You know, they do things, extraordinary things, which one does not see a cause, right? I mean, he's putting his knife from this side to the other, but the blood is not coming out, right? It's an extraordinary act. He has performed it. Some of the sadhus and yogis and they do that, right? It's an extraordinary act where there is no cause for it. Is that a miracle? No. There's a divine extraordinary act which is performed by the Prophet in order to prove the prophecy by the divine will. That is a miracle. That is considered.
Also in case of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, the stick changed into snake and it ate up all the other snakes of all the magicians.
Right.
It changed into like so that is also a divine.
That is also a divine act.
From
now miracle is only in the cases in order to prove the prophecy of the prophets. And there's another thing which people tend to misunderstand. A miracle with karama of the awliya, the saints, the awliya of God, they perform karamat. They have karamat. They have karama, which is also extraordinary act as well.
Yeah.
But it is not a mu'jiza. It is not ijaz. It is not a miracle. We tend to use the same word because it's an extraordinary act. Ijaz is an extraordinary act, but it is different in terminology to karama. Somebody gets cured in the haram of Imam Raza. You say, oh, mu'jiza happened, right? It's not mu'jiza, it is the karamat of Imam Raza that happened, the karamat of the Waliullah. It is an extraordinary act. But mu'jiza, ijaz is particularly to the prophecy, is particularly to the Prophet. In order to karama is of the awliya. It is an extraordinary act which has that similarity. It is also by the divine will. It is not by independent of, but it is by the divine will. But that is the difference between the karama and the ijaz. Yes.
Sorry, sir. No. Okay, Maulana Sahab, this is also related to miracles, but a different question. Do miracles contradict causality, meaning cause and effect?
Right.
We believe in cause and effect. Do miracles contradict it?
No, they don't. But it seems like it. It looks like it kind of contradicts the causality. The reason because is when one does not find any evidence of a cause, then he would say that, wow, this is a miracle. It's easy to say that it is something different against the cause. But the sunnah of God is that everything requires a cause. It is with a cause and it has an effect. And for example, a person, the soul will leave the body when a person dies. Now, for a person to die in a healthy condition, it requires 70 to 80 years, right?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden something happens, an accident happened. So that time period which requires for his cell or for his soul to really develop those characteristics of leaving the body takes place very quick. You see what I mean? For a soul to really enter barzakh, for a soul to really enter barzakh requires certain adaptation. For example, for a child, in order to come in this world from the womb of the mother, requires that lungs to be developed so that when he comes here he could breathe.
Yeah.
For the soul to enter barzakh, there are certain things which are required by the soul.
Okay.
And he should have those things, then he will enter barzakh. So for a normal person in a good living condition, for his soul to really develop that, the requirements of the barzakh, it requires 60-70 years of time. But something happens, a person's accident happened at the age of 27, for example, And then at this age, when that accident happened, very quickly the body develops, or the soul develops that requirements of the barzakh, and then he died. It is cause is there for some reason. His body tends to develop those things, very quick, and then it enters barzakh. Okay, it's a bit requires a bit of more understanding of this. If our viewers kind of sit on this example, they will come to understand. Now, for example, the changing of the staff to a python of Moses. Allama Tabatabai says that this is not against the causality, against the cause and effect, because the nazm that Allah have created is based on cause and effect. Okay. Now, every living being, every living creation that we have is from earth, Now, this snake, which is this wood, has come from earth, and now this wood, the wooden staff, which is changing into a snake. Is from earth.
Yes.
But something happening in the chemistry that is making it very quick for it to happen, and then it is turning into a python, and then it's going back to earth form. See, so the causality in every miracle exists. Like, for example, there could be fire, or fire looking like substance which doesn't burn. Phosphorus, for example, some of the gases or some of those things that are there which look very they appear to be like fire, but you can put the hand inside, it doesn't burn you. Right. So now this fire of Hazrat Ibrahim, yes, although fire is created from the wood and all that, it was created normally, but there's a special command of God which says that, "O fire, become coal for Ibrahim." Right, and this is that very cause itself, the cause of making that into becoming cool is from the command, because God is the cause of all causes. Now, this parting of the sea of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, for example, is also interpreted in the same fashion by Jews, by Christians, where they say that the possibility is there that that there could be a wind that will part the ocean, and one could really walk because of the currents of the wind. It is possible that it could go that way, right? So now Moses, if he is of that sort of strong soul and spirit, he could order that, he would command that. So there are ways of answering these questions, but going against the causality, no. Yes, because that causality is very divine itself, of divine nature. The causality is of divine nature, and Allah sort of accelerate the causality, or Allah sort of which makes us think that something extraordinary happened, because we couldn't find the reason behind it. But if we try to analyze them, we tend to see that there is an answer on the basis of knowledge and on the basis of intellect for all the miracles that have taken place.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, Maulana, for the beautiful explanation. And now we have come to the end of our program. Thank you very much for coming to the show, and I hope, inshallah, our viewers have definitely benefited from such a beautiful discussion and that explanation of yours. Thank you very much for giving us your precious time. Thank you very much, viewers, for watching the show. Now we have come to the end of our program. See you next week, same time, same day. Don't forget to watch, inshallah. Till then, take care and Khuda Hafiz. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.